America's national parks are getting crowded. Traffic jams, full parking lots, trails that feel like lines. But here's what most people don't realize. Some of the most incredible parks in the country barely see anyone at all. So I went through the data, the rankings, and the hidden lists, and found 20 national parks where you can still experience real solitude. And some of these don't even feel real. Number 20. Pinnacles National Park, California. Just a few hours from San Francisco, Pinnacles stays surprisingly quiet compared to other California parks. Massive rock spires rise from dry hills, creating a landscape shaped by ancient volcanic activity. The highlight here is the cave system, dark tunnels formed by fallen boulders where you hike with a flashlight. California condors glide overhead, adding a rare wildlife encounter. Most people drive right past this park on the way to Yosemite, which leaves long stretches of trail empty even on weekends. 19. Congaree National Park, South Carolina. Congaree protects one of the largest intact old-growth floodplain forests in the United States. Towering trees stretch high above swampy ground, some ranking among the tallest in the eastern region. Elevated boardwalks guide you through quiet forest, where deer, owls, and river otters live. Canoeing through the flooded forest reveals a completely different perspective. It's not a dramatic mountain landscape, and that's one of the reasons it stays uncrowded. The stillness here feels rare, and the silence settles in quickly. 18. Koyahoga Valley National Park, Ohio. Right between Cleveland and Akron, this park surprises almost everyone who visits. Waterfalls spill through forested valleys, and the historic Ohio and Erie Canal cuts through the landscape. Brandywine Falls draws attention, but most people stop there, then turn around. Walk a little farther, and the trails quickly open up. Bike paths, quiet woods, and scenic overlooks make this one of the easiest parks to explore at your own pace. It never feels overwhelming, even during peak season. 17. Hot Springs National Park, Arkansas. Hot Springs is completely different from most national parks. Instead of vast wilderness, you get a mix of forest trails, mountain views, and historic bathhouses. Natural thermal springs flow through the area, and you can actually experience them in restored spas along Bathhouse Row. Hike in the morning, relax in mineral-rich water later in the day. That contrast gives the park a unique rhythm. It's often overlooked, and that's what keeps the experience calm and unhurried. 16. Indiana Dunes National Park, Indiana. Indiana Dunes stretches along Lake Michigan with miles of sandy shoreline backed by rolling dunes and forests. In summer, the beaches attract attention, but the park spreads out enough that it rarely gets crowded. Climb Mount Baldy for sweeping views, or explore inland trails through quiet woods and wetlands. Birdwatchers love this place, with hundreds of species passing through during migration. It's one of the most accessible parks in the country, yet large sections remain surprisingly peaceful. Number 15. Guadalupe Mountains National Park, Texas. This is one of the least visited national parks in the lower 48, and it feels remote the moment you arrive. Sharp peaks rise straight out of the desert, including Guadalupe Peak, the highest point in Texas. Trails here are rugged, exposed, and often completely empty. McKittrick Canyon adds something unexpected, with trees and seasonal color hidden deep within dry surroundings. There are no big visitor centers or crowded viewpoints, just long hikes, wide views, and a sense of isolation. 14. Voyagers National Park, Minnesota. Voyagers is built around water. That changes how you experience everything. A network of lakes, islands, and forests stretches along the northern border, and most of the park is only accessible by boat. That extra step naturally limits how many people make it out here. Paddle through narrow channels, camp on remote islands, or just drift across open water. Wildlife is everywhere, from bald eagles to moose. At night, the sky opens up with almost no light pollution, giving you a real chance to see the northern lights. 13. Channel Islands National Park, California. Just off the California coast, 5 islands form one of the most isolated national parks in the country. Getting there requires a boat ride, and that alone keeps visitor numbers low from the start. Once you arrive, there are no crowds. Just coastal cliffs, sea caves, and open ocean views. The island fox, found nowhere else, roams freely across the landscape. Kayaking through sea caves is one of the highlights. It still feels cut off, even though the mainland is just a short distance away. 12. Dry Tortugas National Park, Florida. 70 miles west of Key West, Dry Tortugas sits far removed from everything. The park is only accessible by boat or seaplane, which limits how many people ever make it out here. A massive historic fort sits on a small island, surrounded by clear blue water. Snorkeling reveals coral reefs, tropical fish, and shipwrecks nearby. There are no roads, no crowds, and almost no noise. It feels closer to the Caribbean than the mainland United States. 11. Great Basin National Park, Nevada. Great Basin sits far from major cities, and that isolation defines the experience. Ancient bristlecone pines, some over 5,000 years old, grow high in the mountains. Lehman Caves reveal detailed formations underground, adding another layer to explore. Trails climb from desert valleys up to alpine peaks, giving you multiple environments in one place. At night, the sky turns incredibly dark, with stars stretching across the horizon. That kind of quiet is hard to find anywhere else. Number 10. Great Sand Dunes National Park, Colorado. Massive dunes rise against snow-covered mountains, forming one of the most unusual landscapes in the country. You can hike straight up the sand, then run or slide back down. In spring, Medano Creek flows at the base, turning the area into a temporary beach. Despite how unique it looks, the park rarely feels crowded. Sound barely travels across the dunes, giving the area a strange sense of quiet. Few places in the US shift this much from one step to the next. 9. Black Canyon of the Gunnison, Colorado. This canyon doesn't ease you in. It drops straight down. Steep cliffs plunge into darkness, with the Gunnison River far below. Many overlooks sit close to the road, but far fewer people visit compared to other canyon parks. The scale feels intense, especially at sunrise or sunset when shadows stretch across the walls. Trails along the rim provide constant views, and the quiet adds to the atmosphere. That combination makes the experience feel raw, dramatic, and unexpectedly empty. 8. Lassen Volcanic National Park, California. Few places combine so many landscapes in one park without drawing big crowds. Boiling mud pots, steaming vents, and colorful hot springs sit alongside alpine lakes and forests. You can hike to volcanic peaks or walk through geothermal areas on short trails. It often gets compared to Yellowstone, but with far fewer people. Wildlife moves through the area regularly, and the variety keeps every part of the park feeling different. One visit rarely feels enough to see it all. 7. Capitol Reef National Park, Utah. Stretching across southern Utah, this park follows a massive geologic wrinkle in the earth called the Water Pocket Fold. Cliffs, domes, and narrow canyons run for miles, yet the area stays far quieter than nearby parks. Scenic drives lead to hidden viewpoints, while trails reveal arches and slot canyons. Historic orchards still grow in the valley, and you can pick fruit in season. The mix of geology and history gives the landscape a distinct feel that stands apart. 6. Canyonlands National Park, Utah. Just outside Moab, there's a park that rivals the Grand Canyon, but sees a fraction of the traffic. Canyonlands spreads across multiple districts, naturally separating visitors. Island in the Sky delivers massive overlooks, while The Needles brings color and quieter trails with far fewer people. You can stick to short viewpoints or head deep into remote terrain on longer hikes. Once you move beyond the main stops, the landscape opens up quickly, and it often feels like you have the entire canyon system to yourself. Number 5. North Cascades National Park, Washington. Hidden in northern Washington, this is one of the wildest mountain landscapes in the country. Jagged peaks, glaciers, and bright blue lakes define the scenery from the very first viewpoint. Many trails require effort to reach, which naturally keeps crowds low. Wildlife like bears and mountain goats move through the area, adding to the sense of remoteness. Roads are limited and services are minimal, which helps preserve the quiet. The result is a park that stays raw, remote, and largely untouched. 4. Isle Royale National Park, Michigan. Out in Lake Superior, an island sits far removed from the mainland, and that distance changes everything. Access requires a boat or seaplane, which immediately limits visitor numbers. Once there, no roads cut through the landscape, only trails winding through forest and along rugged shoreline. Moose and wolves roam freely, creating one of the most unique ecosystems in the country. Camping here feels completely different, with long stretches of silence. The isolation isn't a side effect. It's the reason people come. 3. Wrangle St. Elias National Park, Alaska. Imagine a national park so large it makes entire states look small. This one stretches across massive mountains, glaciers, and rivers in Alaska, covering an area bigger than many countries. Roads are limited, and distances are huge, which keeps most people away. You can explore abandoned mining towns or take small planes deeper into untouched wilderness. The scale is overwhelming at first, then slowly turns into something quiet and almost surreal. It's one of the last places where true wilderness still dominates. 2. Katmai National Park, Alaska. For most people, this place is all about one moment: bears catching salmon midair at Brooks Falls. That scene draws attention every summer, but it's only a small part of the park. Step beyond that area, and the landscape opens into vast, empty terrain filled with rivers, volcanoes, and tundra. Access takes effort, usually by plane or boat, which prevents large numbers of people from reaching it. Outside the main viewing spots, the sense of space expands quickly, creating a setting that remains wild and largely untouched. Number 1. Gates of the Arctic National Park, Alaska. No roads, no trails, no signs. Gates of the Arctic is the least visited national park in the United States, and it's easy to see why. Most people arrive by bush plane, then navigate through completely untouched wilderness. Mountains, rivers, and tundra stretch endlessly in every direction. There are no facilities, no marked routes, and no crowds. It's not designed for convenience. It's designed for true exploration, and that's why almost no one ever makes it here. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, subscribe for more travel content, and drop a comment with the national park you'd visit first, or any hidden ones we missed. Looking for more parks that aren't overrun, but a bit easier to reach? Check out my video on underrated US national parks right here. See you in the next adventure!